Strokes the beard, strokes the beard.
Yes, that's the one.
There is a plot device used in some mystery fiction known as the Unreliable Narrator. In these cases, it transpires the person telling the tale may themselves be more involved than you were led to believe, and they may not have been telling you the whole story. Here at Highly Suspect HQ, we've taken this tried and tested concept of the Unreliable Narrator and made a stupid game out of it. Our murderer-in-chief will record himself telling a short murder mystery tale, which, like all of our mysteries, is 100% solvable with the information provided. This will be sent to one of our elite team of regular suspects, who is only allowed to watch it once. They will then record themselves trying to recount the same story to the best of their memory, before sending their version to another highly suspect individual, who will do the same. This chain will continue until everyone in the team has retold the tale, at which point we'll watch it back together and see if anyone has been able to solve the mystery told by a string of unreliable narrators. And even if they haven't, the result should be, well, highly suspect.
Well, howdy there, folks. Doug for Gold here, and I'm a gold prospector, but I'm not here today to tell you about the gold Doug for Gold dug up. No, sir. I'm going to tell you about a gosh darn death that was actually a murder. This is the case of the Gruesome Gold-Rush Graveyard. Woohoo! It all took place on the 29th of March, 1848, in the prospecting mine owned by Mr. White. The slogan of the enterprise was, "What's mine is yours," though that wasn't strictly true, as Mr. White kept most of the profits for his dog himself. Foreman Huge Mineshaft was a surly man who treated his workers like the dirt what he dug. He was something of a hit with the ladies, though, who done dug what he was digging, and some said his canoodling with the wives in the shafts was causing some of the mining husbands to done get divorced. All of this meant it was no shock to anyone when Huge Mineshaft was found with a pickaxe through his skull deep down in What's Mine. His hands had been chopped off, and the blood from his stumps was used to write "What's mine is mine" on the minecart beside the body. Mr. Watt found Hugh himself during a scheduled survey of the area. Watt went straight to the sheriff without telling anyone what Watt found, to try and make sure that what happened in What's Mine wouldn't be what closed What's Mine down. What? Now the sheriff immediately identified some suspects, though he dismissed Watt as what would Watt have to gain. Ewan de Ground was the most obvious suspect, as he and Hugh had been rivals for a long time. Ewan hated Hugh, as he was sure he was having an affair with his wife, and was trying to find proof so he could done diggity get divorced to marry her sister instead. He cared so little about the death he didn't even ask how he died. The sheriff started to explain there was a message beside the body, but Ewan interrupted and said it couldn't be him, as he could not read or gosh darn write. Ooh-wee, I forgot. You might need to know that What's Mine is actually 3 mines. North What's Mine, South What's Mine, and East What's Mine. Technically there's a West What's Mine, but West What's Mine is actually just the other end of East What's Mine. We call that East What's Mine westbound to avoid confusion. Anyway, this happened in South What's Mine. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, Ewan's wife Penny Treatendrill confirmed he couldn't read, but said that the chopped off mitts did seem like a warning from a husband about the dangers of wandering hands, and that maybe they should investigate local cowboy Dan Spoidance, whose wife had been seen with Hugh. Dan Spoidance was on his horse at the time, rustling up cattle rustlers. Diane O'Might was Hugh's half-sister, who seemed devastated about the loss of her brother when she was told how he died. But she was the only person in his will, and that made her perk up real quick. She said she was innocent, as she wouldn't have known how to find him so deep in the mine. Anyway, this case is easy to solve. Just dig deep and go for gold!
Howdy, y'all. Doug for Gold here to tell you all about a death that turned out to be a murder. Now, I'm a prospector out here in the West, and this case is called the Gruesome Gold-Rush Graveyard. It was a very, very disgusting, horrible scene that we happened upon on this day, and it happened down in old Mr. Watt's prospecting mine. And the slogan of the company was "What's mine is yours." which was a little bit of an untruth because old Mr. Watt was definitely far more into keeping all of his profits for his gosh darn self, let me tell you. Now, the foreman of the mine, huge mining shaft, was a very surly man, and he treated his employees like the dirt he done dug, or something like that. But he was always a hit with the ladies. They were really digging what he dug. I don't know. But it seemed that his canoodling with the wives in the mine shaft was causing some of the miners to dum diggity dug dong get divorced. So it came as no surprise when a huge mining shaft was found deep down in Mr. Watt's mine with a pickaxe through his skull. He was also missing his hands, and blood from the stumps had been used to write a message into the side of the mining cart next to him, and the message read, "What's mine is mine. Make of that what you will." Now, it was Mr. Watt himself that found him. He went straight to the sheriff to tell him what Watt had found, without telling anybody else what Watt had found, because he didn't want what Watt had found to be the end, to be what ended Watt's mine. It was something like that. There was a lot of Watt going on. And the sheriff came up with a few likely suspects. The most likely suspect was a man named Underground. And he was the most likely suspect because it was highly rumored that Ewan's wife was one of the women that huge mining shaft had been canoodling with down the shaft. What was his name? Ewan was really fixing to get a divorce so that he could instead marry his wife's sister. Now, he wasn't very much bothered about the death at all. In fact, when the sheriff tried to tell him all about the message that had been left, he interrupted the sheriff and said, well, that it couldn't have been him because he couldn't even read nor gosh damn write. And, oh gosh, this was a bit where we went back on ourselves. I'm already getting super muddled. So, I forgot to say that Watt's mine was really like 3 different mines. There was North Watt's mine, South Watt's mine, and East Watt's mine. And technically there was also a West Watt's mine, but we called it East Watt's mine westbound to save on any confusion. Next, the sheriff went to Ewan's wife, Penny Trayton-Drill. And Penny Trayton-Drill confirmed that Ewan Underground couldn't read. But she did say that the bloody stumps did seem like a warning from a disgruntled husband against wandering hands. She also suggested that the sheriff go and check out local cowboy Dan Danse, which he did, but it turned out that Dan Danse was actually on his horse at the time, rustling up some cattle rustlers, not castle rustlers, cattle rustlers. The sheriff then finally went to huge mining shafts. Half-sister Dynamite, who seemed pretty cut up when she was being told how her brother had died, but it was then revealed that she was the only person in as well. So she perked up pretty fast after that. And she said she had a reason that it couldn't have been her, and I'm forgetting it. It was that, oh, of course, she wouldn't have known how to find him so deep in the mine. So it couldn't have been her. And that, of course, was all the sheriff needed to be able to to solve this case. So, God, there was a pun. And it was dig deep and go for gold. Woo! I'm so stressed.
Howdy, folks. It's Doug for Gold here. I'm a prospector here in the Old West, and I'm here to tell you about a case called the Gruesome Gold Graveyard. That's not right, but it's 3 G's. This was out in the West in Mr. Watt's old Mr. Watt's mining shaft. Now, I was then told that there's quite a few different mining shafts that old Mr. Watt owns. There's the North Watts mining shaft, there's the South Watts mining shaft, and there's the East Watts mining shaft. There's also the West Watts mining shaft, but that was changed to the East Watts westbound mining shaft, just to kind of avoid confusion. And the slogan of Mr. Watt's Mining Corporation was, "What's mine is yours." Now, it's in one of these mining shafts that the foreman, huge mining shaft, was found dead. Now, huge mining shaft used to treat the other workers of the mine like the dirt he gosh dang dug. He used to treat them like absolute trash. Additionally, he was known as a bit of a womanizer, sleep with several of the men's wives, the people who were digging in the mine. He'd sleep with their wives. He made several miners have to go and get a gosh damn divorce. Yeah, that he did. So it was no surprise that one day, very deep down in the mine, they found huge mining shaft and dead, with a pickaxe in the back of his head, both of his hands missing, just little bloody stumps, and a message written with the bloody stumps in a nearby mine cart. Now the message said, "What's mine is mine." So read into that what you will. Now Mr. Watt went straight to the sheriff because he didn't want what Mr. Watt had found to be what ended Mr. Watt's mine, obviously. So the sheriff went down to look at the scene and then started to develop a few suspects. So the first suspect he found was we've had Hugh. Hugh Underground, that's him. Hugh Underground. Now it was said, because Hugh had apparently been sleeping with Hugh Underground's wife, so it was all a bit like, oh, he probably did it. But then it was revealed that Hugh Underground actually wanted to get a divorce so he could marry his wife's half-sister. Additionally, when the sheriff was telling him about the note written into the minecart, Hugh Underground said he couldn't gosh damn read, never mind goddamn write, so it definitely couldn't have been him. Now, his wife, Penny Drayton Drill, confirmed that Hugh Underground couldn't read or write, but she did say, Penny did, she said that the note did seem like some kind of message from an annoyed husband who knew that Hugh was sleeping around. So she said you should maybe take a look at Danse for Danse, who was kind of cowboy out here in the West. So the sheriff did, but he was actually working at the time. He was catching some cattle rustlers for the sheriff, so it didn't believe it could be him. And then the last remaining suspect was Dynamite, who was huge mining shaft, the guy who died's half-sister. Now she, at first, she was a little bit shaken up, a bit upset, but then we found out, the sheriff did, he found out that Dynamite was actually the only person in Hugh's will. Yeah, the only person in Hugh's will. So she immediately became quite suspicious, but she said there is no way she could have committed the crime because she had no idea how to get down into that mine. She didn't know the mine shaft. She didn't work there. So how could she get so deep to commit the crime? I think that's it though, folks. I think that's everything. Yeah, I'm gonna, I don't know, something about it. Oh, why do I always forget the bloody pun? So you, sleuths need to get big and go for gold. Woohoo! Yeah, Cuba cowboy. Yeah. I wish I looked more cowboyish. I don't know. I feel like I'm either about to have sex in a tent in Brokeback Mountain, or I'm gonna buy a donut and arrest some youths in the American street. I don't know. That or a little bit Top Gun with an odd pedo moustache, but apart from that. Regardless, I think that's it. I can't remember anything else, if there is anything else. So, good day, everybody, and sweet dreams.
Hello and welcome, howdy, howdy, howdy. My name is Desperate Brand, and I'm here to tell you all about the murder of Hugh Mineshaft. It is a tale of woe, destruction, and sad, sad moments. And it all began in Mr. Watt's mind. Now, Mr. Watt is a man who owns a mine, and that mine has many mining shafts. There's a north, a south, an east, a west, an eastbound and a southbound. So much more that the Manchester motorway people are calling up saying, we want to take hold of your mines. There was a man who worked there. His name was Hugh Mineshaft, and he was found. He was found in a mine shaft with his hands cut off like two bloody stumps, and a message written in a mining cart saying, what's mine is mine. And I think this is to do with the fact that Mr. What's Mining slogan, what's mine is yours. Put that together what you will. Let's fix my woody hat. Now, there were a couple of suspects of who it could be. Number one, Ewan Underground. Hugh was sleeping around with a lot of people's wives, so I'm highly sure it could be one of them, you know. And that's why he disliked Hugh or something, and that's why he would do it. Because, you know, someone's sleeping with your wife, you're gonna want to kill him, right? Yeah, think about it. And something about a half-sister of somebody, maybe, I think Hugh's wife's I can't remember exactly. But who's my next victim? It was Penny Darren Drayden-Drell. Yes, that's the one. Well, she said that Hugh couldn't, that Ewan, sorry, she's married to Ewan, and he couldn't have done it because he can't read nor write, so he couldn't write that there slogan. Number 3, Danse, I think his name or her name is. Who can tell nowadays? Well, they said they were out catching the cattle. They were getting all them there cows in. So it couldn't have been them because they were busy, of course. And number 4 was Dynamite. Yeah, so Dynamite was a half-sister and of Hugh. That's it. She was the half-sister of Hugh Mineshaft, and she was the only one in the will of his dad. And everyone thinks that's very suspicious, so she might have done it. So she might have done it just because she knew she was in the will and she'd get everything straight away. Or maybe there was someone else in the will and they all got crossed out. Or maybe we all got married at a hoedown. And last but not least, sleuthers, if you can work this out, I hope you can. Because I'm afraid I can't do any more songs without you. So, I want you to get digging and go for the gold. Yeah! Woo!
Hello there, boys and girls. My name is Dan. Desperate Dan here. Whee! And I'm here to tell you a fine, fine story that happened down the old mine. Whee! Yeah. So, like I say, my name is Dan. Not sure if I'm supposed to keep playing this guitar through the whole thing, but I'm gonna try my best. Okay, so here, there was a deadly, deadly accident. An accident in the mine. A man called Hugh Mining Shaft was found dead. Dead at the bottom of the mine. Oh, yes, sirree. And at the bottom of the night, he had his hands cut off. Yes, and on the side of a cart, it said, oh, my goodness me, I completely forgot. There was something written on the side of the cart that said, I'll see if I remember that at the end. It was something very important. Yes. Oh, dearie me. Oh God. So yeah. Ooh, yeah, gotta play my guitar. Aha! I'm just stalling here to see if I remember. Woo! Okay, here we are. So there were 3 suspects. There was, and this is in no particular order, there was his second cousin, or his wife. It was his wife, called Daniela Dynamite. Yes, and she was in his will. I think that he could have had a half-sister. Yes. Oh, yeah. So it couldn't have been her that did it, but no, it probably was her, because, in fact, everyone thought it was her because she was in the will, so that was the reason to cut off his hands and then throw him down a mine shaft. Whoa, what a terrible pickle. Okay, and then we've got, the next guy is, Herb the Herder. I can't remember his name, but he was out cavorting, and he was out rolling up the cattle when the man was found dead. So they say that it couldn't be him, but I do feel that it might have been him, but that is not for me to tell you. You have to make that up for yourself. And then we have, what was the lady, the first one, and she was a floozy, so let's call her Susie the Floozy, and she was sleeping around, and I think that she might have been sleeping around with Hugh's brother, or something like, done that somehow. I'm not sure how. So there we have it. Hugh was thrown down the mine shaft. I had his hands cut off, and I can't for the life of me think what was written on that cart. Something like, you will be missing my hands. Oh, you're missing my Oh, did that silly. So there we are, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen. Here at the hold down place. Here's Dan the crazy man. He's telling you got to solve it, because there's gold in them mines, and you're gonna find the mines when you get the time. Yeah.
Well, howdy there, folks. Desperate Dan here with a terrifying story for you. Now, this happened many years ago. There we go. This happened many years ago when I was a prospector in them there hills, and a terrible story happened. I shall tell it through song. One day, no, I shan't tell it through song. However, I will randomly strum on this here guitar, weird-looking guitar, for the remainder of this video. So there was this miner, and he was known as Huge Mineshaft, or something similar to that. And he was found one day dead at the bottom of the mine shaft, but most mysteriously of all, he had both his hands cut off. Now, this was a very mysterious turn of events, and so there was an immediate inquiry as to what on earth could have happened to this poor man. Well, there were 3 main suspects, and I shall tell you why they were suspects, because this had clearly not been an accident. This was murder most foul, and the reason they knew that was because Hugh had had both his hands cut off. I know. Not his arms, though. He wasn't armless, he just had his hands cut off. There had also been something written, something on the side of the mine cart that was at the bottom of the shaft with him. Now, whether this was relevant or not, nobody knew, and nobody thought to write it down because, well, we ain't too good with writing in these here parts. God, that's probably racist. Never mind. We ain't too worried about all of these reading and writings here, so I don't know what it was that was written on the side of this mine cart. This cart at the bottom of the mine shaft. There we go. There's that accent. Anywho, there were 3 main suspects in this here murder investigation that the mine started. And the first one was someone who could well have been his wife, Daniela Dynamite. Well, she was known to be an associate of Hugh. And as she had been written into his will, it was suspected that there had been something untoward in her feelings towards him, and therefore she murdered him. She murdered him in order to gain access to his money. Money is a very powerful incentive in these sorts of cases. Second of all, there was Herb the Herder. I'm not sure if that was his name or merely a sobriquet that we had given him, because he was always herding the bison. No, don't herd bison. What do you herd? Cattle. That's the one. We herd cattle sometimes. We are cowboys after all. Anyway, he had been out herding the animals at the time of this here falling down the shaft with his hands cut off. So he had was generally he said he was not a real suspect because he had an alibi for the time of death. Mind you, do cows make good alibis? Who knows? I am not the police. And third and finally, we had someone who we shall call Susie, because that was her name as far as I can understand it. She was known as something of a gal about town, as it were. Oh dear, my hat. She was a gal about town, and so she was known as Susie the Floozy. Now, rumor had it that, that's an Adele song. Rumor had it that she had been having an affair of some sort with Hugh's brother. Now, this doesn't appear to have any bearing or relation to the rest of the case. However, I felt it was useful information that you should probably know. Beautiful. Now, these 3 here suspects were questioned, and the police, they had their suspicions, as do you, good listeners at home. However, the case is, as yet, still open, so I'm hoping that you fine folks at home can shed some light on the subject. Oh, I just remembered. There was something written on the mine cart that was at the bottom of the mine shaft next to which Hugh was laying with his hands cut off. And that is relevant because the wording, and I was told this sort of third hand off people, that, what was it? It was something along the lines of, I hope you miss me as much as you miss your hands, or words to that effect anyway. Now, whether this was a threat is as of yet unknown. However, that is all the relevant information that I could possibly give you at this moment in time. So, if you don't mind, I'll just mosey on back to my fire, my guitar, my cattle, and I'll bid you good night.
Hello and woo-wee, y'all. My name is Desperate Dan, and I'm here as your friendly local prospector to tell you what went on in these damn hills a number of years ago. Now, I don't have a guitar or anything I thought would work, so I thought I'd introduce you to my raccoon and his bells. Yeah, so you'll be having a musical interlude at times from the raccoon, who is called Ray, and his balloons, bells, got them. So throughout the rest of this little ditty I'm telling you here. So go Ray, yeah, you tell him. So what went on these heroes? Well, once there was a man they call a huge mine shaft, yeah, and Hugh, he were mighty down their hills. And Hugh went into them there hills one day, and he did not come back, ladies and gentlemen. He did not come back. He was found dead, down the mine shaft, missing both his hands. They were gone, cut off. Not his arms. He was not armless, but he was handless. And I'm gonna be mustacheless. This is not gonna say it the whole time. God darn it. I'll lean back in my chair a little bit for y'all. So, I'll just sit like this. So, anyway, what then happened was there was a mine cart found next to him, and on it were written some words, but I don't really know what them words were. It was something like, I hope you miss your hands as much as you miss me. So, Lord knows what that could mean. Someone thought he would miss him as much as hands. Anyway, there were 3 suspects in this here murder case, weren't there? Right? Yeah, 3. And in the murder case of Hugh Mineshaft, and the 3 suspects were Danielle Dynamite. Now, she was maybe close to Hugh, possibly his wife, possibly a lover, possibly just a woman he knew randomly. But either way, she was in his very will. And so she was suspected just because of that, because if he died, maybe she'd get some money. Then there was Herb the herder. Herb cattle used to herd the cattle around these parts, and he said it couldn't have been him because he was herding cattle at the time, and we don't know what his motive was. And then there was the third suspect called Susie, and we don't know what her last name was or if it was even a pun. Strokes the beard. Susie, I don't know, Susie Rattlesnake, let's call her. And Susie was maybe having an affair with Hugh or Herb, one of the H's, but we don't really know, and so she might have done it or might have not done. But that's it, folks. I mean, it's a doozy of a tale, isn't it, Ray? Oh, well done, Ray. You hit some discordant notes in there. And we're shocked down these y'all in parts, and we were hoping up down these parts and up these hills, and I was hoping that y'all, ladies and gentlemen, could help us solve this and dig up the suspects and the crime and the killer. So he was handless down a shaft with some words on a cart which nobody could nobody wrote down, or maybe they did, but how else would we know them? Anyway, that's it then, Mayor Pills, gold, and snakes and stuff, and solve the crime, y'all. Yeehaw!